The rapid economic transformation of China has been nothing short of phenomenal. It has been described globally as unparalleled in the history of mankind. In 1978, China embarked on a historic journey to transform its economy and society and succeeded in lifting 800 million people out of poverty by the year 2020. That's right, 800 million people were lifted out of poverty in about 40 years. That's nearly 60% of Africa's total population. This monumental achievement is unprecedented in human history and certainly offers valuable lessons for developing nations, particularly in Africa, with its 450 million people currently living in extreme poverty. But before we go into the economic success story of China, it is important to fully appreciate the degree of economic woes and poverty which China was facing before the transformation started. And the end, we would highlight the lessons African nations can learn from the experience of China in terms of the key reforms, policies and action steps required for Africa to also rebound from poverty to prosperity. Up until 1978, China was one of the poorest nations of the world, with a per capita GDP of less than $200. In other words, China was poorer than some African nations in 1978. More than 90% of the Chinese population lived below the international poverty line in 1978. Agriculture was inefficient, industry was stagnant, and living standards were extremely poor. The turning point came in December 1978 when the then China President Deng Xiaoping, a great and pragmatic leader with a vision for a new China, launched a series of groundbreaking economic reforms that would reshape the nation's future. The economic transformation started with agricultural reforms, especially the introduction of the household responsibility system, which allowed farmers to lease 2 or 3 hectares of land from the government for up to 15 years and to keep the surplus crops produced over and above the government quotas. Collectivized or cooperative agriculture, a cornerstone of Maoist economic policy of Chairman Mao, the previous leader of China, was gradually dismantled and replaced with a household responsibility system, which was a radical departure from the past. This pivotal shift granted farmers greater autonomy over their land and their agricultural production. The farmers' ability to sell their surplus crops increased rural incomes, thus reducing poverty. This provided incentives to farmers and significantly increased agricultural productivity and job creation. The second phase of reforms included the establishment of 4 special economic zones in the southeast coastal regions of Shantou, Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Xiamen, which emerged as hubs of foreign investments, industrialization, and exports. Infrastructure development projects were initially concentrated in these zones, while the rest of China were asked to exercise patience for the zones to develop first. The zones attracted foreign investments through tax incentives, streamlined regulation, and favorable business conditions, spurring rapid industrial growth and job creation. China's population of 1 billion people at that time was also leveraged as a major attraction or selling point for attracting foreign investors who were seeking new markets overseas. China's open door policy encouraged foreign trade and investment, thus integrating China into the global economy. The influx of foreign capital, technology, and expertise fostered unprecedented economic growth. Exports grew, generating revenue, creating further employment opportunities, thus lifting millions out of poverty. One unique feature of China's industrial policy and foreign investment drive was the emphasis on technological learning. In other words, China insisted that any foreign investment be accompanied with plans to enable Chinese engineers acquire the relevant technologies and know-how so they could develop the capabilities to make such products subsequently. It's like, okay, so you're interested in establishing a presence in China to sell to our 1 billion people, no problem. But you must also share or transfer the underlying technology to us in China. In instances where this was not fully successful, China executed other plans to borrow, buy, or re-engineer such technologies. This was China's approach to learning how to make high-speed trains, electric turbines, automobiles, etc. In the 1990s, state-owned enterprises reforms were introduced. Government enterprises were restructured. The inefficient ones were shut down. Private enterprises were allowed to enter the industries, especially the downstream sectors. These actions improved the efficiency and competitiveness of the Chinese industrial sector. Another major attribute of China's industrial development was the intensive push for exports. All government enterprises were pushed to the limit to achieve export targets and earn foreign exchange. China's ascension to the World Trade Organization, WTO, in 2001 further opened up the Chinese markets and attracted foreign investments and accelerated economic growth. By the year 2010, China had become the world's second largest economy. While industrialization in urban centers drove China's economic engine and transformed cities into bustling hubs of activity and innovation, targeted poverty alleviation programs played a crucial role in uplifting rural communities, addressing long-standing issues of poverty and underdevelopment. Investments in rural infrastructure such as roads, electricity and irrigation improved connectivity and agricultural productivity, enabling farmers to access markets more efficiently. Access to education and healthcare expanded significantly, with new schools and clinics being built, empowering rural communities and improving their overall well-being, fostering a sense of hope and progress. These targeted interventions created a more equitable society, bridging the gap between urban and rural areas, ensuring that the benefits of economic growth reached even the most remote corners of the nation, transforming lives and landscapes alike. In February 2021, China announced the eradication of extreme poverty by end of the year 2020. As of today, China is the biggest producer of agricultural crops in the world today. China has also become the world's factory, producing the widest range of manufactured products in the world. And an astonishing 800 million Chinese people have been lifted out of poverty. China also became a prosperous nation with a GDP of 17.7 trillion US dollars and total exports of 3.3 trillion US dollars in the year 2023 alone. Now that's what I call the true definition of an economic miracle. Lessons from China for Africa. China's remarkable journey from poverty to prosperity holds invaluable lessons for African nations striving to achieve similar transformation. China's ability to lift 800 million people out of poverty over a period of 40 years should provide a tried, tested, and reliable blueprint for Africa's economic prosperity. First and foremost, China's success underscores the importance of a strong and decisive national leadership that is committed to economic development. Visionary and selfless leaders who prioritize long-term economic development goals and are willing to make tough and appropriate decisions to drive significant progress. The gradual and pragmatic approach adopted by China, characterized by experimentation and adaptation, offers a practical model for policy implementation. This method allows for flexibility, learning from mistakes, and ensuring sustainable development and economic rebound. African nations must start from the start, which is in agricultural reforms and transformation. We must leverage our sizable fertile arable land maximally for each country's priority crops. We need to establish special economic zones and industrial parks, provide them with the requisite infrastructure, attract investors with a package of incentives, be strategic about technology development, and drive exports effectively. Finally, active participation in global trade and attracting foreign investment can fuel industrialization and job creation, propelling economic expansion. Engaging with the global market opens up new opportunities, industrial development. With the right leadership, vision, policies, and actions, Africa's 450 million people currently living in extreme poverty can and should also be lifted up out of poverty within the next generation or two. There's no time to waste. The clock is ticking. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more insightful posts on Africa's economic rebound from poverty to prosperity.